Try that life and say goodbye. Not always polite. Work can never be fun. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we got Rob.
Hey everybody, it's Rob.
And we got Devin.
What is me, Devin? How's it going?
All right, so this week, let me pull up my little sheet thing here. This week, we listened to a couple episodes or a couple stories from an episode of the No Sleep podcast that were recommended by Rob. And we just finished watching 3 episodes of 2 different things on CryptTV, which is a YouTube channel. Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about tell the listeners a little bit about the No Sleep podcast, how you found it, what it is, so on and so forth.
Okay. So No Sleep is a horror storytelling podcast. It started a while ago. 2011, I think, is when it started. So it's been on for like 11 years. Or 2010 maybe. But it was created by David Cummings, who is a Canadian. I don't know if that lowers your opinion.
Absolutely does. 100%. Yeah.
But there's now a Reddit. There's the No Sleep Reddit where people post stories, and then they take the stories. Like, you could submit stories directly to them as well, but they take a lot of them from Reddit's r/No Sleep. And they it started off with just basically him reading the stories, and then as time went on, he added more voice actors to act out the different people in the stories, and then they started adding sound effects and music. And it's just gotten really popular. I don't remember how I found it. I think I was just looking for scary stories at one point during, like, at Halloween. I wanted to listen to scary stories, and I just kind of Googled, like, scary story podcasts. And I got a couple, but No Sleep was the one that stuck with me because I really liked it. But not only do they do, like, scary stories, they do skits and stuff too. Like, every time he gets, like, a sponsor or whatever, they do, like, a scary story skit about what, like, selling the product or whatever. Like, I remember he had, like, this kind of toothbrush or something, and I remember there was, like, a whole, like, scary story about, like, brushing your teeth and whatnot. And then they do other things, like they do, like, every Christmas and stuff. They do, like, a thing where they're, like, all the voice actors play themselves, and they're, like, locked in David Cummings' dungeon in his house. And then they do, like, they've done a couple murder mysteries where they played themselves, and they just, like, it's fun that they do, like, different things like that. But yeah, so they have different authors that they get from either submitted stories or from the Reddit, and they have a couple authors that they go back to that they like, that have actually published books of their stories now. And then they're always adding in new voice actors here and there, but, like, they have a core of certain ones that have been on there for a long time. They actually did. I don't know if they still do because I haven't actually listened to the last couple seasons. But they used to do live tours too, where they would go around and perform the stories on stage for people.
Oh, I could see that being entertaining.
Hmm.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the three that you had us listen to. I remember there was the Red House,
Yep.
Red House,
Black Rain,
And the Silence Experiment.
and the Silence Experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was from season 4, episode 2, way back in 2005.
Now, before you dive into this, I will say I went into this thinking it was going to be a lot more creepier than it was, but with that being said, I think the only reason that it didn't creep me out as much is because it was daytime. I listened to these in the late morning.
Mm.
This is definitely something I wouldn't want to listen to at night in my room alone, kind of thing. So, but okay, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
So yeah, they also like these ones were all three of them were more like creepier stories that I picked because I did listen to a few episodes and some of them like they don't always do just creepy. Some of them are more like supernatural in nature where they're not exactly creepy. They're just like, oh, something weird happened, or there are actually some that they do that are kind of sad. Like I was like, oh no, not gonna have listen to a sad one. So they have all kinds of stories, but like mostly they focus on the creepy or the supernatural. But every once in a while, there's other things. But these ones, so the Red House, written by Jill Berwick, and the story was read by Elle Bentley. It's about a woman who's out for a walk with her daughter. She comes a bunch of a red brick house that's covered in crows, and like the crows start acting weird, and this person starts to walk towards her, and the crows start like eating each other and fighting, and the guy has no face, and so she like ends up like at first she's frozen, but then she runs away. And then throughout the story, like weird things keep appearing on her lawn. Like there was an old fashioned fire truck that was full of blood and a thing of hair, like a clump of hair. And she saw like the guy walking past her window one night, and she called the cops about it. And they were like the house did exist, but there was no one there. And like they were analyzing the blood and the hair and whatnot, and they found out that the blood was like goat's blood.
Blood, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's basically what that story was about. Like how her family is now being tormented by this faceless stranger that lives in a house somewhere down the block, or well, it exists in a house.
Now that seems to be kind of I don't know necessarily how common, but it seems to be kind of a common theme having people with no faces.
Mm.
Like we're gonna when we get into the Crypt TV episode here, we watched one called Look See. That guy didn't have a face. He had a mouth, but other than that, he was like stitched together flesh for a face. And then things like what's the Slender Man or Slender Men?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have faces either. Those things creep me out.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can continue. I'm gonna be inserting little rants as we go.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was that No Sleep has its own musical composition. Like its beginning and stuff. Like for each season, they have a different like opening, but they have like a song, kind of like how Ross is doing for us, where it's basically like the same song, but it's like got different renditions.
Gotcha. Yep.
So theirs is written by Brandon Boone, and he does a lot of the music for the backgrounds of the stories too. But anyway, so the next story was The Silence Experiment, which was written by J.P. Loopold, and read by Jessica McAvoy. Now, Jessica McAvoy is she's basically in every episode usually. She's one of the original storytellers. She's been with them for a long time. uh, this one, basically, she's someone who used to like live out in the country where it was quieter, and she moved to a city, and like she couldn't like there was too much noise and everything, so she wanted to try and like get back the silence that she used to had. So she does like a sensory deprivation thing, but like it gets so quiet that she's not sure what happens, but then she starts to hear whispering, uh, and something keeps like telling her to sleep. So she doesn't want to sleep. So, but she's like researching it, and she's like, it feels like her brain like either somehow because it got so quiet, she was able to like hear the like a spirit realm or whatever, or she had a psychotic break because her brain couldn't handle the silence or whatever. But anyway, so the whispers are there for a while, and they start to get louder and turn into shouts, and then through the whole thing, the voice keeps telling her to sleep, and so she's up for like 4 days, and then finally she's like, I can't fight it anymore. But she's like, but I know if I fall asleep, I'm never waking up again. And then in the end, she kind of just trails off as she falls asleep, and that's how that one ends.
So, I got a question for both of you. Have you
Mhm.
ever been sitting there or lying there or whatever, and it's quiet? There might be like some ambient noise, like a fan or whatever. Not like
Mhm.
pure dead silence. But then like you will hear like music playing, but it's not actually coming from anywhere, like it's in your own head.
Mhm.
Has that ever happened to either of you?
I mean, kind of, but not like I wouldn't say
Never, not music. In my old house when I lived with my ex-wife, like sometimes when I was alone and it was quiet, I thought I heard like murmuring sometimes, but like it was never anything I could make out. It just seemed like my brain was making it up on the fly.
Yeah,
I haven't had that in a long time though.
yeah. Like I'll hear music, and like I've brought it up to people, and they're like, I don't hear nothing. It's like I definitely do, but I can't.
Mhm.
Anyway, I think maybe I'm just going insane. All right, so that was the second one, and then we get on to Black Rain.
Yep. Black Rain was written by Logan Barker and it was read by David Cummings himself and Alexis Bristow. So the story starts. This woman finds like a journal like wrapped in a bunch of plastic in this old like abandoned building. Uh, so then as she reads it, it tells the story of a guy who was basically it started to rain black rain. Uh, and it was downpour and it didn't stop and it was like super cold to the touch. Uh, and whatever it touched, like any kind of water it touched, it would turn black. So like if you put a drop of it into like a bucket of water, the whole bucket of water would turn black from the little drop. Like it was reverse dilution basically. um, so then he talks about how like it gets into the rivers and the rivers turned black, and then a friend of his sent a picture from the ocean, and the ocean had turned completely black. And the water keeps like rising, and people are putting like stuff in their like sandbags and sealing their houses so the water doesn't get in. But I guess, and then like, oh yeah, he said before that he said about how scientists had tested it, and it was just like regular water except for being super cold. So they told people they could go out like to go and get food and groceries and stuff. But he said as soon as like people left their houses, once they stepped out into the water, they instantly like plunged their heads under and never came back up. uh, so like he feels like the water is like watching him and is an entity or whatever, and then he ends up shooting himself with a shotgun in the end. But then it's a little confusing because like I don't know if like this was supposed to have happened all over the world. Like where did this lady come from that found his journal? It's I don't understand, but
Right. Now let me ask you this, Rob. Of these three, which one did you enjoy the most? Like, which one did you feel, I guess, captivated you the most?
um probably the Black Rain.
All right. Devin, what about you?
Probably yeah, Black Rain for sure. I had heard a couple of these before because I used to listen to this podcast all the time too, along with a few others. But yeah, Black Rain for sure.
See, I'm kind of on the fence between it was probably Black Rain or the Red House. Mainly because I don't know, I just couldn't get the image of a faceless dude out of my head, so that one kind of stuck with me as far as like a horror aspect or a creepy aspect. But yeah. Now, is this still an ongoing? This is still an ongoing podcast.
Yeah, I looked at they just released one last week, an episode. So,
All right.
but they have it's a paid podcast. Well, it can be. So they release half of the stories for free usually, so you can listen to the three that we listen to. You could listen to for free. There are 3 more stories on that episode that you can only hear if you pay though. So you can pay by the season or you can pay by the episode, and it's not much. But it's just basically to support all the people that because he pays the voice actors and stuff, and
Right.
but yeah, and then like you get a slightly different version of the episode, like because I know in the free versions they do like advertising, like I said how they do, but they do skits for the advertisements. But in the paid version, they don't have advertisements. Like they have a thing where you can listen to them if you want because they do skits. So like if you're interested in what skit we did for this, you can listen to it, but they don't like force it on you in that one. Yeah. And then, like I said, you get extra stories, and then there's if you do the whole season, you get bonus episodes. Like one of their series is called Suddenly Shocking, that you can only get if you pay. And each season they have it's like a bunch of tiny little like 1 minute stories that have like some kind of weird twist to them. And then they have an old timey radio version where they do like they're on an old time radio show instead of the regular podcast. Like so, it like they do the sound effects with like the clipping of like coconut things and stuff like that for like horses trotting and all that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so they do all that kind of stuff. But they have special things like that, and
But
like I said,
they
they do.
talk in the old timey radio announcer voice.
Yeah, they do.
Nice.
And then they, like I said, they do little skits sometimes where they play themselves. Like one of their narrators, they're always making fun of. What the hell is his name? I can't remember.
Jack.
Oh, Peter Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Peter Lewis. Like they always make fun of him, like he's a fucking crazy nutcase. So every time he plays himself, like he's really super creepy, even though he's supposed to be himself.
All right. So for fans of horror stories, people who like listening to horror stories and getting kind of creeped out, the No Sleep podcast. Now, where can people where can people listen to this? Like, just that all podcast thing? I think I tried looking for it on Podbean. I couldn't find it.
It's on iTunes.
Yeah, I have Podcast Republic. That's where I listen to it.
Yeah, you can it's on iTunes.
Yeah, most podcast things will have it.
Okay. So the next thing we ended up doing was we watched a couple episodes. It was 2 episodes of the Look-See. 2 seasons, I guess, of the Look-See.
Yeah, we was like 10 episodes, but 2 seasons.
On CryptTV, the YouTube channel, and then we watched one. Was that a whole season of that show too?
That was
a supercut.
That show.
Door
a supercut of Door in the Woods. That actually got a actual show on Peacock now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With the same people?
I don't know if it's the exact same girl. I think so though.
Oh.
I didn't watch it. What?
All right. So let's talk about this Look-See. This is it's the faceless guy. All he has is a mouth. He's very well dressed. Kind of looks like the Slender Man, just with a mouth. And like he has like I don't know how to describe it. It's like if somebody took like slabs of meat and stapled it to over his face. Like there's cracks and like separations in his face, I guess. This one took me a little while, I guess. I mean, Rob, I don't know how long it took you to figure out that it was essentially he was hunting down people who had guilt.
It wasn't until he let that guy go for killing the one that killed the other guy,
Yeah.
because like you could see in his face that he didn't feel guilty about it because the guy like foreclosed on his family or something or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like he like it showed him killing the guy and like a smile on his face or whatever. So that's why I was like, oh, I feel like it's guilt that people have to let go of, or he'll come for them.
Yeah. I mean, they do say guilt will kill you. So yeah, this it's. I mean, I'm not gonna go through each of the episodes, but essentially every story is this thing's coming after somebody, and each person that it's coming after ends up finding a note somewhere or reading something that says essentially, if you don't, what is it? If you don't release, it will come and take a piece or something like that.
Yeah, it's close to that. I don't remember exactly the wording.
Um,
Oh, if you yourself don't release or whatever, it will
yeah.
come and take a piece.
So and then like these people, like I don't know, he plays mind games with them and then hunts them down, and then he's constantly walking into the backgrounds and just popping up. I didn't particularly like care for this one, mainly only because it was a lot of jump scares, and that's the thing that triggers my anxiety the worst. Um, is jump scares, and like Devin said, whether they meant to or not, and I mean if they did mean it, then grats on them, I guess. But you know, every scene where I expected him to be in the background, you know, just standing there, he wouldn't have been. And on the scenes that I didn't expect him there, he was there, and it creeped me out. Um, Devin, have you watched these before?
I watched Elixir. I hadn't watched the Girl in the Woods, but
Okay.
watched
So how did you stumble upon this CryptTV thing?
I've always recommended CryptTV, but I knew about CryptTV because from Dead Meat.
Dead Meat? What's Dead Meat?
Dead Meat is a YouTube like horror show. That mainly does like scary movie reviews. Well, they do kill counts. They're mainly known for their kill counts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Where they'll count the kills in horror movies and shit like that. And he was actually did like a crossover promo thing with them. And so the guy who's like in the second look-see season, the one guy that like jumped at him and stabbed him, and then all his friends got killed. You know what I'm talking about? When the old dude like went out in the barn.
Oh yeah, the one who ended up getting covered in blood and walked away.
Yes, that's actually the host of Dead Meat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, we were both wrong, Rob. It's not that he didn't have guilt; it's that he was a special guest.
Yeah. I mean, he may have also had no guilt. Who knows? But James A. Janice is that's who hosts that. He's also local to me, or at least he was. I don't know if he still is. But yeah, he's from around here.
Also, we forgot to mention there's no dialogue. I think one lady
there's
someone's name.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, the one lady who died.
Someone's name and maybe a couple of words are uttered here and there, but no, that's it.
Yeah,
the lady who died in the tub. Yep.
So I will say, as far as the look-see, because I know that one was was recommended by Avalos. I applaud you, Avalos. You got me. This one, I did not care for this one because it did creep me out just because of the jump scares alone. And then I believe, Devin, you recommended The Door in the Woods?
Yeah, I knew that was out of the ones that were there. That was solid.
I actually did like The Door in the Woods. It has story behind it. It also changed from The Door in the Woods to The Girl in the Woods.
Well, it said the title of it was A Girl in the Woods from the Door in the Woods series, so I'm guessing there's
Oh.
more like Door in the Woods.
Gotcha. But yeah, there was an actual story in this one. There was dialogue. There were creepy jump scare moments. Like when she ran from the two, whatever they were, hags or whatever, the lady with the meat hook, and then she was up against the trailer. I knew the monster was going to be right behind her, waiting, but it still creeped me out when it happened. So yeah, I mean, oh, mission accomplished. I don't. All of these things, including the No Sleep podcast, were more creepy than Hocus Pocus 2 and more creepy than all of the Mandela catalog minus the last little scene. Because that one was probably on par. Devin, I don't know if you have a browser up that you could look at this, but is there a synopsis essentially to read to the viewers to kind of describe what the look-see was and what Door in the Woods was?
Sure, hold on a second.
Next week we have Halloween Ends will be our episode. We will be having Avalos returning with us on that one. While Devin pulls up a synopsis for these two things, Rob, do you want to go ahead and promote the Halloween live stream yet again?
I sure do. So, October 29th, a Saturday. Next.
Not next one.
Yeah, not this coming Saturday, but the one after.
29th.
We are doing our 13-hour Halloween dead stream. We will be playing spooky games. We're starting off with Witch It, which is kind of like Prop Hunt, if you've ever played that, where the witches turn into things and the hunters have to try to find the witches, and they can use magic and stuff to try and get away. And then, so that should be fun as we all try to hunt each other. After that, we're playing Phasmophobia, which is a ghost hunting game. You go in with equipment, you got to try and figure out what kind of ghost it is. The ghost can hunt you down and kill you, which happens to me a lot. After that, we'll be playing a new game that none of us have played, I don't think, called A Video Horror Society, which is similar to Dead by Daylight, but the survivors can fight back with movie magic weapons, like lightsabers or blaster guns and stuff like that. And then after that, we'll be playing actual Dead by Daylight, where I will only be observing, but everyone else can play. And then for the last game of the evening, we're playing another one that none of us have played called Midnight Ghost Hunt, where there's two teams. Basically, there's ghosts and there's ghost hunters, and you basically fight it out to see who wins. So.
Alrighty. So you say you die all the time in Phasmophobia. That doesn't irk you?
I mean, it does a little, but it doesn't matter as much in Phasmophobia. Basically. Because I can still walk around and do stuff and talk to people when I'm dead. Whereas a Dead by Daylight, it's just you're done and you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. Alright, Devin, you got those synopses for us? Is that the right word for that?
Synopses, sure, go with that. The plot of the series. Series takes place in town of Harbor and follows a sharp-toothed, grinning demonic entity known as the Look-See, who puts his chosen victims to potentially fatal tests. Victims must choose to let go of a specific item or person they would have held onto for a long time. And failure to release that specific item will end in the victim's death. The series relies heavily on symbolism, with victims' injuries from their encounters with the Elixir symbolic of who or what they need to release. For that, and then you got the Go in the Woods, or the Door in the Woods, I'm sorry. Either one. Door in the Woods. In the Woods. If it wants to work for me. Nope, it don't. Hold on one second.
So, she didn't technically die, I guess.
No, she just received an injury.
Yeah, the one who dropped her ring in the... Well, no, she died She eventually died.
No, at the very end, she was just writing more of those notes.
Oh.
So,
I still want to know what's with the Elixir that came out of those pocket watch.
well, unfortunately, there's no season 3, kind of.
That had the blue gloves or the black gloves. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, there's no season 3 at the moment, kind of. But
well,
what do you mean, kind of?
Because there is technically a season 3, but it's weird. It's the it's Sunny Family Cult. It was one of the longest of the running seasons, 14 episodes, right? The thing with the Sunny Family Cult was that it was like, if I remember correctly, it was like set up where it took place in like our world, and there was like two friends that were like, "Yo, hey, let me see if I can find the plot real quick. Hold on." Yeah, so basically the point of this the point of that whole show was to like tie in the canon of the other CryptTV monsters into one canon, if that makes sense. So that show, the Sunny Family Cult, is centers around a teenage girl named Taylor who strives for a normal life while juggling her not so normal serial killing cult family. The series was ultimately the one that made the point to canonically connect and establish the collective Crypt Monster universe with the reveal of the Cryptomes and even the introduction of a then unnamed monster, Soot, who later was a monster down the road. But yeah, so that's how that kind of worked and brought everybody in together. So yeah, that brought all their monsters into one world. So there was kind of that. So like he has his own series, but he does, the Elixir does pop up, I think, in an episode or two of that show. So it's kind of like a season 3, but not really. But yeah, plot of the Door in the Woods. Carrie takes her 3 friends, Max, Michael, and Ben, on a trek to find the door their colony was meant to protect. After what felt like hours, they finally found the... I don't need the holder. I'm gonna read the summary. Children of a royal cult family find a door in the woods that has been carefully protected for many years. How is it open and what is locked within? Basically, as I described, kids go in the forest. They're told a story. Hey, we're very important. We stay in this village away from the regular peoples because we're tasked with guarding this door in the woods, basically.
Yeah.
And if this ever opens the door, we're the only town people that are capable of keeping them out, right? So whatever. Kids heard about the story. They don't really believe it. They've never seen the door. Go out, like your urban myths, to find the door. Find the door. Open the door. Unleash demonic entity of some type, and he proceeds to wreck shit and run through almost all of her friends and most of the town. So, and then that's kind of what happened.
Yep. And while it was open, other things got out. And they found a way to kind of fight back. And this chick lost an arm. It was rough. But it had Kumar in it.
And it was worthy because she got an actual show on network television. I don't know what she
And
did,
like
but
Rob said, she got this like dope ass prosthetic fake arm that just kind of popped onto the stump and made out
Yep.
of scrap metal and had full mobility, and she could move the fingers and everything.
Yeah, didn't even have to medically connect nerves. She just stuck it on the stump, and she was like, "Zzz, zzz, zzz, zzz. Look,
Yep.
my hand moves perfectly fine."
So this week's Science Corner, just fucking put stuff on a stump.
Yeah, stuff on a stump.
Stuff on a stump. That's the scientific terminology for it. Yeah, I mean, Devin, which did you prefer out of those ones between the Look-See and the Door in the Woods? Which one did you like better?
story-wise, I like the Door in the Woods. Like for creep factor, I like the Look-See.
Okay, Rob, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same. Like, for scariness, Look-See was more scary. The Door in the Woods felt more like I
It
was
felt more
watching
complete.
new episodes of Supernatural with different characters.
It felt more complete. It felt like the Door in the Woods in a weird way, especially like pre-arm, pre her like getting trained by Kumar in the arm. Felt very much like the opening to a Supernatural episode, just like extrapolated in like a 15-minute bit.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, these people fuck around and unleash something, and it goes poorly. But then it didn't go like completely poorly for everybody.
Now, am I to understand, spoilers for those of you listening to this, obviously. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. CryptTV on YouTube, Door in the Woods. Give you guys a couple seconds to pause because I'm about to ask a question that might be spoilery. Alright, if you're still here, sucks to be you. When she opened up the briefcase at the end, am I to believe that Kumar was essentially a doctor or a scientist, and the door in the woods led to like a facility? Like, was this like a Resident Evil type thing situation going on? Because there was like
Yeah, I have no idea.
schematics. There was like schematics that look like went underground, and
This is where we find out that Door in the Woods is related to Cabin in the Woods, and Kumar just was one of the scientists from
I don't think I've ever
the Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin
That's
in
my
the
headcanon.
Woods.
Yes, you have.
I have.
I'm sure you have. It's the one where like Thor and the group of friends go out, and Thor dies by fucking riding a motorcycle or trying to jump a canyon and crash into an invisible wall. Remember?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we've done Cabin in the Woods on for SU before.
We'll
Rob, you've seen Cabin in the Woods.
we'll have to
I've seen it, but I don't think we did in SU. At least I wasn't part of it.
we'll have to ask
feel like-
Rob, our SU lore keeper. He goes back and looks at all the previous episodes to find out what we have and haven't done.
I'll have to go
I
take a look.
feel like we've
But,
done Cabin in the Woods, and I feel like you've seen. If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, you need to see Cabin in the Woods. It's actually like
Is it
yeah,
scary?
it's a spoof on like scary movies.
it's a
Basically,
spoof, but it's also kind of not. Like it's a spoof, but it's more of like it plays to the tropes, but it's smart about it. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But like I wouldn't call it like it's not like a scary movie, which is legit like a spoof on scary movies. Because it has a lot of comedy to it, but it's like matter of fact comedy, not so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, perhaps we'll do that at some point. If we haven't already, I'll have Rob check. So yeah, those were the two episodes. I'm in the same boat with you guys. I liked Door in the Woods better. It had story. It was compelling for the most part. But the Look-See was far creepier. Definitely got me at least a good handful of times, readjusting in my seat and looking away from the computer. So that's this week. So those were the No Sleep podcasts and the CryptTV YouTube channel.
Yep.
Next week we have Halloween Ends, which is potentially the final installment of the Halloween series. I have a feeling, I'm going to be kind of sad if this is the last Halloween installment and they kill off Michael Myers. I mean, he's old. It's going to be his time to go, but he's the one horror dude that I actually like. But
Well, I mean, I'm sure eventually someday there will be reboots again because this is a reboot itself.
well,
it's like a reboot, but it's a reboot of
it's a rebooted continuation.
Yeah, it's
of the original movie. So
yeah, so it like retconned and erased a bunch of other Michael Myers movies, so it could happen again. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
It's like
that's fair.
nothing is ever done.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever.
So yeah, that'll be next week. When does that come out? Is that already out?
It's already out.
Oh, all right. So
Already seen it.
We'll have
Watch
to
it
watch
again,
that. All right. Well, with that being said, Devin, do you have some life advice? And Rob, do you have a science corner this week?
I have a pseudoscience corner.
Life advice for me, anyway. It's going to be like semi-comical, but like also not. There's actually a lot. Like Door in the Woods is weird because like there's a lot of like real accounts of like just doors that don't lead anywhere in the woods. Like if you go on Google and type in like random door in the woods, or like you like.
Yeah, a lot of them used to belong to houses and stuff that the foundations and the walls are just no longer there.
Yeah, No Sleep has a multiple story series over different episodes about the door, like random doors in the woods.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty common thing for movies. Like a movie, like there's a movie that came out in 2019 called Door in the Woods, and there's actually a thing. Also, staircases, abandoned stairs in the woods. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Staircase in the woods. There's actually a legend that's like a legend or like an urban myth. Hold on, urban myth. Stairs.
I mean, I've even put the Door in the Woods technically in my D&D game. One of the parties ran across, they were traveling, and just out in the middle of an open field was just a door.
Yeah, it's a creepypasta about stairs. It's kind of became an urban legend where it's like, I think the stairs to nowhere, I think it's like, what is it? If you climb the stairs, what is it? I forgot what the fucking thing is.
You'll end up breaking your ankle because you'll fall and hurt yourself.
No, like there's supposed to be a door, like you can't see the door, but if you climb the stairs, there's a door at the top or whatever. I know, like I said, they did. No Sleep did a thing about basically it's like a ranger talking about the weird things he sees in the forest, and the staircases was one of them. Random doors was one of them. But yeah, I know like something about like every step you take, you get you filled with dread or whatever. Like it's worse and worse.
Yeah, it's something weird. I can't think of the exact. I'm trying to find the exact version of it. Yeah, it's something like that. And then basically, there's a couple versions of it. There's like a darker version of it. Like every step you take, it fills you with dread, but also like pushes you to go forward. And then basically, you get to the top, and you see a door, but in reality, there's nothing there. You just kind of take a header off the top of the stairs in the woods. Yeah. Anyway, point being is, if you're out in the woods, my whole life advice was, if you're out in the woods or you're out somewhere walking and there's just something that shouldn't be there, leave it alone. Solid life advice. Just leave it alone.
I mean, or go and investigate.
I mean, or don't. That's how you unleash things and people die.
Or do, and if you survive, write to us and tell us about your experience.
Yes. Sign over the rights of the story to us so we can write.
Care of Confessor_X.
Yes, so that's my life advice. Leave well enough alone. Leave shit alone. That's yes.
Yeah.
Don't. How can I make this sound like intelligent?
Don't be stupid.
No. in your efforts to escape mediocrity, don't become the warning to the next generation. There you go. Boom. There you go. That was terrible.
It's better to let people believe you are a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, why chase after a crane? Just travel south and wait.
The doors out in the woods will go south?
No, but cranes and birds fly south for the winter, so theoretically, if you just go south and wait, they'll come to you.
Oh, okay. All right, what's our pseudoscience corner?
Terrible, but point being is,
so pseudoscience corner, this is not science, people. It's just a theory that I saw online that I thought was interesting.
Everybody write into Rob when you disagree with his scientific theory on this.
No, it is. I'm telling you, this is not scientific theory. Not at all. Do not take this as actual science. But there was a theory online that people were discussing last week that I thought was interesting, and I thought I would bring up. It's that nobody ever really dies. Like, when you die, you shift into a new reality where you didn't die, which is why people have the Mandela effect. So basically, the theory is like when big swaths of people have like memory changes where things are slightly off, it's because like there was some kind of major disaster, like a nuclear war actually happened, and a bunch of us died, but we didn't die. We went into a new reality instead, where things are slightly different from when they were, and that's why people have those Mandela effect memories about things being different.
So based off of this, off of what you're saying,
mm-hmm.
So if something tragic happened and I died,
yeah,
I would get shifted over to a different reality, an alternate reality.
Yeah.
And I'd still be me.
Mm-hmm.
Just things would be slightly different.
Yeah.
So what if you like died of old age? You just come back as another old ass dude?
Oh, that's the part where it gets a little sticky, which is why I said this is not actual science. But
I have a theory that's similar to that. My theory is that when you die, leading into the whole, like, we live in a simulation. When you die, you actually... So, you know how people always say throughout your life, right? You go through life, you make mistakes, things happen. You say, I really wish I could be born and or start over knowing everything I know now. My theory is, and I think this would be a great movie, is we do live our first life in a simulation, and it's projected while we're actually in our mother's womb in the real world. So you live an entire lifetime while you're in the womb, and then you're born, you die in the simulation when you're born in your real world, and then you wake up, and then when you wake up, but you have all the knowledge of a whole lifetime. So in hopes to better the next generation or to better yourself in society, that was the path that was taken. I think that'd be a great movie.
All right. I mean, I could get behind both theories, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if I died, that's like I wouldn't want to come back as me again. Being me sucks.
Well, no. The thing is, like, you don't realize.
Imagine you're born. But
for the theory I'm talking about, you wouldn't realize you had even died, so it would just be like your day just continued as if you hadn't died.
Right. Gotcha.
Like you step in the traffic, you're about to get hit by a car, you see the lights in your eyes, and the car hits you, but then you like blink, and there's just like you're having a photo taken in the flash of a camera, and you just kind of going with your day. But knowing Webby's luck, he'd be like getting his photo taken, and it's like a mugshot.
Yep. Yep. Son of a bitch.
Like, why am I under arrest? You dressed up as a bear and beat homeless people. Oh, I mean, that sounds like something I do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I like the idea of, potentially reliving a life, but with a lifetime's worth of knowledge and kind of like memories in your head.
Mhm.
So you know what things to improve on.
Mhm.
So anyway, so that was Science Corner. That was our SU episode for the week, fellas.
Yep.
Where can people find you on the internet, Rob?
You can find me on Twitter at Confessor_X and on Twitch at twitch.tv/ConfessorX. And I just realized our stream is not on my channel. It is on the Distractions Media channel. I should probably say that. So if you want to come see the Halloween stream for charity, it is on Distractions, twitch.tv/DistractionsMedia.
Yeah. Also, I mean, just follow everything we do regardless, and there will be alerts. Go join our Discord. Devin, where can people find you at?
You guys can find me on Twitter at DMP_Pook. You can find me on Twitch at Mr. D3. And as always, you can find me on eBay looking for doors in the woods.
Oh, shit. You guys can follow me on Twitter at JaxForestWalker, all one word, on Twitch at DMWebby, and on eBay at Falling Off Stairs in the Woods. Because me and Devin just don't know how to leave shit alone.
We don't.
So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we hope you enjoy. We love you, and fuck Booster Gold.
Fuck Booster Gold.
Every single week, I'm never on tune with this thing.
And we love you for it.
Did you remember to put the Halloween theme song at the beginning?
Yep, I sure did.
Thinking
The
sure.
real question is, did you remember to put the lime in the coconut and mix it all together?
Lime in the coconut.
Coconut.
Hold up.